to the Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
Guess who's back again.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Spurs News Podcast. I am Sam. Joining me for the new season, it's the first show of the new season. He's back. It's Matt.
We're back. Not as rich maybe as Eminem, but we're back.
He was saying nowhere near. And I've just paid him another 40p, I think, for using that, but never mind.
There you go. Like he needs it.
Yes, hello. Yeah. I'm sure that'll, do something for him. It'll make his day. Yes, welcome back. It is the Spurs News Podcast, the weekly show where we talk about all things in the mad world of Tottenham Hotspur. I have had a couple of messages during the pre-season from people who came to the show kind of late. And one of the things they said was there are a lot of in-jokes in the show, which are jokes that have existed because we've been doing it for so long. And anyone new is kind of trying to catch up. So I've said that I promised new season I will try and explain, at least for a couple of weeks, where some of the in-jokes are. So yes, there you go. Just, if you are coming back to us, welcome back. If you are trying us for the first time, welcome. I don't know what to say to expect, really. We tend to just try and be light-hearted. That's the best way I can put it.
I know most podcasts have different formats and different ways of doing things, but I guess the way that me and you do it, it's just like meeting down a pub, innit? Get a pint in, let's talk about Tottenham for an hour.
Yeah, and that is the general vibe that we go for. Because this is the first show back, I thought to myself, right, try and be professional, Jones. And I've written out a bullet point list of okay, these are the sort of topics I think we should cover. And it's huge. So, it's what she said. But it is to the point of okay, we got an hour. So we're going to get stuck into this. Because these are the topics I think we need to cover. First of all, the thing that everyone wants us to talk about, transfer business so far. Tottenham have made 6 signings. Just in case anyone needed me to repeat that, before the season has started, Tottenham have made 6 signings.
And not just before the season started, well before the season started.
Yeah, they were there for pre-season training. Well, at least most of them were. It's very weird, but we did it. There seems to be, as always in a fandom online, a very split view on the window. Matt, I'm going to put it to you to open this up. What's your view on our window? And I'm going to say window so far as well, because it's not done yet.
No, it's been really impressive. I mean, how could you... I look, like we always say, opinions like ourselves, everyone's got one. Right? I appreciate that. But I do struggle to see how you look at this window and think that it's not good. I mean, we've Conte said, I need these positions strengthened. We've gone out and strengthened those positions. We've done it way before the pre-season, before the pre-season started, so he's got to work with these players. Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, it's so it's unusual. As a Spurs fan, I'm like, well, this is very weird, but it's very good weird.
Yeah, it is a very strange feeling. It's kind of like, oh, this gives me hope. Oh, I don't like this feeling.
No, I mean, look,
this hurts.
Yeah, the hope that kills you, and it does it constantly for Spurs. Spurs
it does. I was chatting to Polynesian Dan. There's an in-joke I need to explain. Dan, so there are 4 of us at Spurs News. If you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anywhere, even TikTok, there's 4 of us. Matt, me, we are the podcast duo. You also have Laura and you have Dan. Now, Dan is a big dude. He is a big guy, muscle-bound. You think of the Incredible Hulk, but less green. And he's very softly spoken, though. He sounds like an 8-year-old. No, not quite 8, maybe 10. So I said once he reminded me of those Polynesian bouncers you get in New Zealand and Hawaii and stuff that are just these massive guys, but very softly spoken. So that's why we call him Polynesian Dan. He's from Hull, I think. So
It's always the softly spoken big dudes that you need to be wary of.
very wary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like guys like ranting and raving, I was never panicked about it. It was the calm one that just went, "Excuse me, just walk away," and I'd be like, "Okay."
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I get you.
a good comparison is like me and the kids and Vicky went camping last week,
Yeah.
and we went past this house that's near the campsite, and this dog was making this huge noise, and you looked over, and the dog is like you could fit it in your hand.
Yeah.
And then you go onto the campsite, and there's this big, huge dog, just folded arms. I don't need to make a noise.
No.
I'm big.
I just give you a look, and that look means do not step in my yard, good sir.
Yeah, there you go. And that's Dan.
Yeah, that's Dan, and Polynesian Dan. So there you go. I'm explaining the in-jokes as we go. So I was chatting to him, and he, for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to do a bit of a prediction game, but he's not been able to do it for whatever reason. And two, because I was chatting about sort of like the window and the business and what people thought. And what's interesting to me is there is actually a mixed bag of feeling around, not so much about sort of like, oh, we made signings, we made them early, that's good. But this kind of like, as we were just saying, I feel good and that makes me nervous. And I think that's a very Tottenham fan thing. Do you know what I mean by that? It's kind of like, this feels really good. Going into this season, I feel really positive. Oh no, I feel really positive. That's a bad thing. It's bizarre. Like last year, you posted in our group chat what a difference a year makes, and like going into the last season with with Nuno in charge.
We don't talk about no. We don't talk about no.
Yeah, that guy. I was not feeling positive. It was kind of like, oh, this is such a mess. Kane's demanding the leave and showing up late to training with the squad, or basically giving him the cold shoulder as well. Like on social media, they're having a go at like there's clear disharmony. Everything's all over the place. Oh no, this is a nightmare. And we started the season with 3 wins, and it was like, oh, this is weird. And then obviously it went to hell. But it was kind of like this feels all over the place. This season, I'm going into it, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like, they've had a good pre-season with Conte. We've all seen the impact he can make us tactically, given time, and he's had that time to work with them now. You only got to look at pictures of the players to see how fit they look. You know, literally. I mean, like, Eric Dyer looks ridiculous. I mean, that guy's just like absolute beast mode. Kane the same. I mean, there was a picture of Harry Kane in pre-season training when he reported back last season, and don't get me wrong, the guy's never chonky, but you look at him then compared to now, it's like, wow, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, and it really makes me think I need to cut ketchup out of my life, I'm telling you. It's clearly, that's the instigator. But yeah, it's just like chalk and cheese, but just focusing back on the window, I'm going to give you the devil's advocate kind of side of the argument. By the way, I'm just going to make this really clear. This isn't me. This isn't what I think. This is just the stuff I've seen. So I've seen people basically say, yeah, we've made 6 signings, but where do they actually get into our first 11? And I think the point is, like, we've got 6 signings there, but the very first game of the season coming up this weekend, possibly because of a couple of injuries, we're likely to field basically the same team as last year, with maybe Perisic, maybe starting, but most likely being on the bench. So what have we actually done to improve the first 11? What's your kind of take on that view?
Well, first thing you got to look at is the fact that if the first game of the season against Southampton, none of the new signings get in for one reason or another. I mean, obviously Richarlison can't play because he's got the suspension for throwing a flare back into the crowd.
Yep.
But that 11 got us into Champions League football, right? Now, This is the thing. This is the thing, isn't it? Right? Okay. So that 11, or that squad, got us into the Champions League. Okay. Now, the whole purpose of strengthening the team is so Conte can say, for example, Sessegnon's out of form or is injured. There you go. Put Perisic straight in. If Kulusevski picks up an injury straight away.
Yeah.
Richarlison put him in, right? He couldn't do that last season.
No.
And it's a bit like you look at the Leicester squad that won the Premier League back in 2016.
Yeah.
We've said this before. A
Oh,
big reason why they
just-
won it is because they had no
Yeah.
injuries. That first 11, I think, played all
Yeah,
38
it was-
Premier League games.
You
They
just don't see that. It was just such a freak season.
It was a complete freak, yeah. So, okay, the team we had from last season could probably kick on and move us up. We could possibly finish third or second with that team, but he's now strengthened, so we've got options now. You've only got with the pre-season, you've only got to look at the impact Richarlison made when he come on. He brought energy into the team, didn't he? I was very, very impressed by Perisic as well. The guy's like 33, but he reminded me of like prime Danny Rose or Kyle Walker. When they were wing backs, aggressiveness, always just getting on the front foot. And so we've got these options. It was never to kind of, as far as I could see, it was never to go, right, okay, there's 2 or 3 players in that 11 that aren't good enough. We're going to buy players to replace them. It was just to strengthen, give us more options,
I agree. Do you think a lot of, when we're looking at sort of squad building, so for example, Conte said something at the end of last season, which has stuck with me, which is he said Tottenham fans, this club, need to stop thinking about a first 11 and thinking about the first team squad. And he was basically like, you don't win 4 competitions or compete in 4 competitions with 11 players. You compete with 25. And what you need is strength in depth in every position. And you don't have a best 11. You have players that come in and out, horses for courses. And sometimes you need to rotate to keep people at the peak, fitness. Now, the reality is, all of us know this, that Hugo Lloris is our number 1 goalkeeper. He's the club captain. Fraser Forster isn't going to dislodge him for an important game if both are fit. Harry Kane, likely as well. But across the whole team, I do get what he means. It's like, if you look at the wing-backs, in his system, but similar to like Rose, Walker under Pochettino, when we had to have a rotation for them, because you cannot physically do the running constantly in every single game when you're playing 2 games a week. It's impossible. But the way he wants 5, according to many reports, 5 wing backs at the club. Someone who can cover both, Doherty, and then you got Perisic and Sessegnon, and then you got Spence and Emerson Royale currently. And that's what he wants. He wants to have that at the club. So if you've got that depth and you can rotate and you can keep them fresh as possible, like you just said about Perisic, the impact that guy made in pre-season in like little cameo roles, you can really see the difference. He just plays higher up. He's just aggressive and he forces the opposition fullback or wing back to be defence minded because they're like constantly worrying about him. I think his reputation possibly helps with that as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, did you notice? I think it was the Roma game when he was just taking like shots from distance, and he probably wasn't in his mind. He probably wasn't. It'd be nice if one of them flies in, but he's constantly giving those defenders doubt. What's he going to do?
Yeah.
Is he going to take a shot? Is he going to, spit it? What's he going to do? And that's what you want, and that comes from experience, doesn't it? I mean,
it does.
That guy's what you say, he's 33 now. He knows the game inside out. I saw. I think it. Not that I've got the. Description, I think you might have, but the Athletic, I saw a little snippet of something he was saying, and he was talking about how he never, when Conte first got to Milan, he never played, he hadn't played in that position before as a wing back. I think he got loaned out to Bayern Munich or something, and then he came back and then he just adapted to it, and now he said, I feel like it's my best position, like it's what I'm naturally the best at, so. You can see how he's kind of the experience he's got and everything that goes along with that. Why now I think it's so good to have him at the club. And there's also been you must have seen a lot of interviews with I think Spence and Sessegnon where they're talking about his influence over them.
I was going to mention that. He's come in with a view of I'm at this stage of my career and part of me being here is to help develop the younger players. what an incredible professional attitude that is. Because when you got players of that age, sometimes signing for a club, they're signing for their paycheck. Like, oh, I've got 2-3 years left. I'm going to make some money. And that's where their head's at. But with this guy, it would appear that he's come here, come to play, quite literally. But also the fact that, like you said, Spence, Sessegnon, they're just like, yeah, he's constantly talking to us.
Fantastic.
Talking about development. It's brilliant. I mean, that's... do you know a very strange comparison, and again, showing my age, do you remember when we signed Nuruddin Nabit? Really old central defender, and he just came in and he just talked constantly, and he improved us so much just for like a couple of seasons, just being there and just basically passing on 10 plus years knowledge of playing football at a high level to everyone around him. I remember reading at the time, just like players like, yeah, he just sees the game, so clearly, and I think we're getting that a little bit now. But yeah, just the window for me has been impressive. I felt we did business really well. I think the thing we've struggled with is clearing out people, which unfortunately it's kind of amusing in a way. But of course, clubs know there are certain players with us that we want gone, so they're just going to wait, because the later in the window, the better the offer they're going to be able to get them for, which is kind of ironic, because that's basically what Daniel Levy does.
Yeah, it's a tactic, yeah.
Yeah, it is literally, we are being levied in this window. But that's the way it goes, and I think when you've got players that you are desperate to offload, I think you just got to accept that that's what teams are going to do. And Tanguy Ndombele, Giovanni Lo Celso, the one that I'm a little bit sad about, but seems like he just has no future with us, is Reguilon. I like that kid. I like him a lot. But I'm guessing he is very much an attack-minded fullback and just wasn't able to transition to wing-back. And it's funny because in your head you're thinking, if you're an attack-minded fullback, surely that's a dream come true. But I'm guessing just the end product. Like last season, I think I saw him get into amazing positions on a regular basis, and I think he got 1 goal and like 2 assists. And if you got this system where you rely on them basically being your chief creating force, you need higher contributions than that. So a little bit sad on that one, but that he's another one that appears to definitely be heading towards the door.
The one that's making me laugh is the fact that Basuma, he obviously he's YB8, isn't it? And he wants that 8, but he can't get it until Winks goes.
No.
He's got 38 at the moment. He's got to put a random 3 on the front of his number until we can get Winks' number.
Harry Winks, man. I mean, that makes me sad. I mean, it's just grew up loving the club, going to games, managed to get into the academy, graduated from the academy to the first team. Really, really looked great, was being tracked by some of the best clubs in Europe, and I just don't know what happened. Like I've wanted so many times to put my finger on why his trajectory just completely changed. I don't know whether it's a case of he made it and stopped. I don't know. Like, I have no clue. It feels like his confidence vanished at some point, but he needs to go somewhere and just play every week and hopefully find his joy in football again. But there are split things on this. So there's one camp that says no one's come in for him, which I don't think is true. I think there's been a few clubs interested. There's another camp that basically says we're holding on to him because of homegrown player rules and stuff. And it looks like Skip's picked up an injury, which is going to keep him out for a good few weeks, which basically means they might keep Winks until January, which I don't know how I feel about that. I'd like the guy just to go and play football somewhere, and I don't know. I'm a bit sentimental on that because I've watched him all the way through the academy, so it makes me a bit sad.
Yeah, but listen, if we do really want to kick on and we really want to, we're serious about finally breaking the duck after 14 odd years, there's no room for sentiment, is there, Sam?
You are right. You are correct, sir. I'm just sentimental old thing that I am. Well, I am in some senses. As other times, I'm just like, burn it down. But yeah. But with Winksy, I had a conversation. You know how Twitter is basically like, I don't know, the view into hell.
Yeah.
I had a conversation on Twitter the other day where someone said Harry Winks is the worst player to play for Tottenham in 30 years.
Ridiculous comment.
And I said, clearly, sir, you've not watched many games. And I was trying to be sort of light-hearted about it, and I got back this kind of like reply along the lines of, actually, I've watched loads. I've seen like Musa Saib and all these players. They're so much better than him. I'm like, maybe football's not for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't get it. Maybe there's like, this isn't the game that you need to follow. He blocked me after that, and I was polite. I wasn't rude, but he did block me. And I kind of sat with me, because I'm thinking, there are actually people out there who are Tottenham fans who think that you actually have that opinion, and I'm just like, that doesn't compute with me at all. I get it. He's been poor for a good couple of years now, but the worst.
Can you send him a YouTube video clip of Gary Doherty just to kind of like give him a bit of perspective?
Big old Gaz, the central defender and striker. What an interesting combination that was. But anyway, speaking of...
Stole a living, didn't he?
He did, absolutely he did. Well done him. You know, like when someone's so crap and yet they're playing in the Premier League, you almost got to go, well done.
Well done, yeah.
How did you get there? That's incredible. Harry Maguire. Anyway, moving on before I'm lynched for that. I am going to now. It is time for us to go to our social media to see if there's any comments or questions from those on Facebook or Instagram.
Now it's time for your comments from our social media.
As per tradition then, my friend, Instagram or Facebook?
Let's go Instagram first, shall we?
Okay, well, Instagram, there is only one comment, and it's a comment from someone who has his own theme.
Thundering down from on high, it's a comment from Mountain Man.
I said about trying to explain all these in-jokes. I could forget just how many we have. It's ridiculous. On Instagram, for anyone who's the first time to the show, people don't typically have their names. It's not like Jeff Smith or anything like that. You tend to have like a moniker or a handle or whatever. And this particular fan of Tottenham is called the Mountain Man. And the minute we heard it, we were like, oh, that's amazing. And I thought it'd be funny that anytime he comments, he has his own thing.
I just think that we build him up as the Mountain Man, but he probably just lives in a flat somewhere in South London.
Don't ruin the illusion. I like the idea that he listens in like this shack, dressed in like bear furs, that he's hunted himself that day, and he puts on our podcast whilst roasting some poor animal he caught to keep his strength up. And then he listens to us and goes, me approve.
Spurs news podcast this week.
Yeah. That's it. Don't shatter the illusion. I like that. I like that, he has to like climb a mountain to put an antenna up to download the show every week. Anyway, that's enough of me.
Dedication.
How many new people have just switched off? Oh, wow, this show's crazy. I can't handle this. The Mountain Man says, with a current net spend of 63.5 million, what the dude, nice and precise, are you guys disappointed, satisfied, or happy with the transfer window so far? Okay, well, we just touched on that. Still potentially a few players to move on, so could end up with hardly any of the 150 million injection actually being used. Levy gonna Levy. Good to have you guys back on the pod. It's been a long wait. Thank you very much for that. I think one thing I would say on that, we've just touched on our opinion of the business. We're both quite happy with it. The thing I'd say about the 150 million injection is what a lot of people are kind of not realising is that enabled us to do the business we've done. So although you're kind of looking at net spend and stuff like that, and you're thinking, well, by the time we've shifted people, that money's not really going to have been spent. It's actually the fact that we were able to make the signings before we sold people. We realised with a list of people at our club, no one was going to move for them early. No one was going to go at the start of the window, hey, Tanguy Ndombele, we want him for 40 million quid. No, they're going to wait until the final few days of the window and go, we'll give you 20 million for him. Because they know we want him gone. And that's the same with a few other players. So we knew that. So there was no way we'd be able to do our business unless we had a cash injection, which is what we did. We've had that. We've done the business we've been able to do up to this point. There are a couple of other players we are looking at right now, trying to fill a couple more positions. But outgoings-wise, we know it's probably not going to go crazy until the final week of the window. Because everyone's going to leave us because, I mean, let's face it,
that's
we bloody
karma.
deserve it.
Yeah, it's
It
karma,
is
isn't it?
absolute karma. You got to be Paratici, just must be walking in, looking at Daniel, and Daniel's like, what? It's like, you did this. When I ring people and I offer them players and they just smile at me and said, "Oh, ring me back in a week," that's you. That's you. But yeah, so overall, business-wise, I'm pretty happy. Matt, you pretty happy so far?
Over the moon. I can't see. I genuinely can't see how this is a negative. I don't understand.
Perfect. That's all right. And heading over to the wonderful world of Facebook, Adam Susson says, it will be great to have you back on my podcast list. You're welcome. My question is pretty obvious, being the start of the season, but where do you each think we will finish this season? And do you think we'll win anything? Right. Now, this is interesting, Adam, because I wanted to do a feature on this where we all make a prediction. And we're all going to make a prediction of where we think we're going to finish in the league and who's going to be our top goal scorer, okay? And then at Christmas, we're going to listen to these predictions back or read them back and make the decision on, okay, do we want to stick or twist? You know, like at Christmas, our Christmas special, which is always a fun show. And then at the end of the season, we'll see how right or horrifically wrong we were. So,
and whoever loses has to get a Musa Sissoko tattoo.
Yeah, no, we're not doing tattoo bets again. That's another in joke for everybody. Oh dear, that's deadly. Okay, so Matt, I'm going to start with you. Where do you think we will finish in the league this season?
Second.
Nice. And who will be our top goal scorer?
Mr. Kane.
Oh, yeah, mate.
Come on.
Yeah,
Get over it, Sam.
I'm getting there. This right, okay. Very serious topic, but me being silly, okay? They, Ofcom, have done an investigation into the level of abuse aimed at football players' tweets, and Tottenham were the most abused Premier League club, with Harry Kane getting a high percentage. Now, it's awful, and genuinely, that's a really serious thing, and people need to address that. But me being my usual stupid humour, when one of the journalists put that out there, like, oh, and Kane's got a high percentage, I replied, in fairness, he did give that interview to Gary Neville, and just like people who got it was a joke, were just like, oh my god, that really made me laugh. It's like, yeah, but in our defence, he did speak to Gary Neville. It's like, yeah, sorry. Anyway, my stupid humour. Now, me, what is actually kind of funny, Matt, is I went second. And I went Harry Kane as well. So
oh, no way.
Me and you are exactly the same. Now, I asked Dan to do a recording for us. I said to him, Polynesian Dan, I said, mate, do me a quick recording, a little bit of audio, making this prediction, and we can play it out on the show. Now, unfortunately, all day yesterday, poor Dan got stuck on a train. He was on his way to a meeting. Train broke. For 3.5 hours, he sat in one place. And he just never had any opportunity to do it. So I think, based on the fact I've not heard from him, the poor guy, I don't know what time he got back, but I don't think he's up. So we are going to have to wait for Dan's prediction for next week. But the lovely Laura did this.
Hey guys, I hope you're all well. Okay, so predictions. I think we'll finish third, and our top goal scorer will be Sané.
Oh, there we go. It's always great hearing her voice.
Interesting. Do you know what? I think looking at it, you've got the two big ones, haven't you? Liverpool and Man City.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that the reason why I say second is I think we could crack one of them. I don't know if we could crack both of them.
Yeah.
But you look. I mean, Chelsea are strengthening again, aren't they? They're getting that guy, that wing back from Brighton.
Well, maybe. See, it's kind of funny because Fabrizio Romano, the tap-in merchant at Transfer Stories, last night did his "Here we go, it's done," and then Brighton put a message out an hour later saying, "No, we've not agreed any deal." Yeah,
right. Okay.
I was like, "Oh, fab in the mud."
Yeah.
So, I mean, to put a statement out saying that if a deal was close would be kind of weird. Do you know what I mean? It's like if now today they announce, yeah, we've sold him, that's a weird thing to put out. But yeah, last night they put out a proper club statement. We have not agreed any transfer despite reports.
We've just got to. I think we can. I think with us, you look at the squads and they're all. I mean, I think Man City's one's just different level, and maybe Liverpool's one's to an extent, but the others. The other teams up there, I think it will come down to a lot of how the man like Conte. I think is going to make a big difference. I think you put Conte in any of those other squads, and he lifts them just like he lift us. And what's interesting for me is that you look at other, because I've gone social like you do. I'm on social media a little bit, and a lot of supporters who aren't Spurs fans are putting us up there. The top 2 or 3.
That,
And that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because you just touched on the fact that we get battered by all other fans.
Yeah.
But they're seeing that, and that's what you completely take the bias out, don't you? So we've got the bias. But if you've got fans of Arsenal and Liverpool and Man United saying that they think we're going to be 2nd or 3rd in the league, then that holds more weight, I think, for me.
Well, I think a lot of them looked at that last season without pre-season, without having a lot of time with the squad, he managed to achieve something no one thought he could achieve.
No, never thought we would get champions. That was ridiculous.
Well, it was ridiculous. It was wonderful, but ridiculous.
Yeah.
And now they're looking at it going, well, he's had a full pre-season with him now. And the funny thing is, you remember when we appointed him, a lot of people like John Terry at Chelsea, who hates Tottenham, was like, yeah, this is going to be good for them. He's like, I remember him tweeting or putting an Instagram post to Harry Kane saying he'll work you harder, but you'll be the fittest you've ever been in your life.
Yeah.
And it's like, buy into it and you guys are going to go flying. And I think the players who have bought into it, similar to like when Pochettino came in, like there was a group of players who were like, no, I ain't doing two lots of running, mate. And they all went. Yeah. And then you got the players who bought into it. And we really improved because of that, because we had a core group who were like, yeah, this is great. And off they went. And I think it's similar to that. I think if he's now built a squad of everyone buying into it, it's kind of exciting.
Yeah,
I think it is.
Absolutely.
So we'll get the prediction from Polynesian Dan. But yeah, that'll be... I'll have to bring his prediction to next week's show. Ryan Miller, hey Ryan, he says, what incoming transfers do you still think we need? I'd like to see a creative midfielder and another centre-back.
I mean, am I just being kind of overconfident by saying I think we've done really well, and do we need anyone else?
I wouldn't mind a creative midfielder. That for me gives us that other option to break a team down. You're like, if a team knows all our creativity is coming from the wing backs, they could just double up and just sit really deep, and it's something that we run into a lot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you were to throw, if you were to forget a creative midfielder for a second and actually just drop Kane into that position, so you switch your formation and you put Son and Richarlison up front, 9 and 10, and you drop Kane into, the number 10 role or the creative midfielder role, you could probably do that better than any midfielder on the planet.
Do you know what? His passing is sublime, isn't it?
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And also, if Kane comes that deep, if you're a defender, that'd be a nightmare. Because you'd be like, okay, I've got Son who's going to run in behind me. I've got Richarlison here who's an absolute bag of tricks and a nightmare. Or Kulusevski, whoever. And then you've got Kane dropping that far deep, then the midfield's going to have to pick him up, or he's going to sit in that gap between the midfield and the defence, just picking out passes. So, yes, I wouldn't mind seeing a creative midfielder, but if we don't get one, I'm not that worried, because I still think we got the options in the players we've got. The centre-back one's interesting to me, because I don't see that. Like, Eric Dyer, I think, is phenomenal in a 3. And I think anyone who's still berating him needs to just watch the games and not think about the narrative. I think Sanchez has been really good in the 3, and he's still with us. Tanganga, I still think is a very good player. He's still with us at the moment.
Is he not? I thought he'd gone to Milan. I thought that was all in advance.
No, it's an interesting one. The thing about that is there's loads of rumours about that, but his agent's Italian, so I am never sure if that's just because his agent's Italian, it kind of gets linked to Italian clubs constantly, or if there's real movement in it. Like, a lot of people sort of at one point were like, oh yeah, he's going to AC Milan, but like nothing's happened, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It surprised me, especially as it was saying it's a permanent move, because
Yeah.
I still think he's got a lot of potential, and he's still relatively young, isn't he?
I think the only thing that possibly could be going on there, if he was to go on a permanent deal, it would be because the club have seen his injury record and think perhaps it's not going to improve. That would be the only thing in my mind, if that makes sense. Because I remember there's a couple of players who have gone over the years, and I thought to myself, that doesn't make sense. You know, he's like really blossoming, and then you watch them over the next few years just miss 10, 20 games a season. You think, okay, the club clearly made a judgment call.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the guy Lenglet who came in, wow, what an interesting and different dynamic he gives to the back three.
Do you know what? Conte was talking about personality.
Yeah.
Like personality on the pitch.
Yeah.
And it seems like such a vague thing, doesn't it? Like you think, how can you have a personality? But you can see it with him. He has got
Just
this personality
forward,
on the pitch,
yeah.
isn't it?
And it's like, this is how we play. This is how we do it. And him and Perisic on the left side, I was kind of like, wow, because Perisic was pushing so high up, and he was defending so high up, aggressively defending.
Yeah.
QT Romero, this could come back to bite me in the ass. I genuinely think is probably up there as one of the best central defenders in the Premier League. And I think this season, everyone's going to realise that. He is a level above. So, Ben Davis signed a new deal. He was brilliant for us at the back end of last season. Again, playing in a back three that's him. You know, he was a fullback for us for many a season, but he has played for Wales in the left side central defending three for years. And now he's doing that for Tottenham week in, week out. I mean, that guy, he put in some defensive displays, but just on another level.
I always remember. I mean, I know it's an easy one to remember, but do you remember the time when we was playing Leeds? I think we beat them 4-0 or something. And Lloris come out like a mental case, and then you're like, right, okay, just put it in, and then suddenly out of nowhere, Ben Davis appeared.
Out of nowhere, Ben Davis was like, "Thou shall not pass." You know,
it was insane.
I just remember Lloris hugging him like, "You have just saved me a clean sheet bonus. I love you." But I remember that. She just, like you said, came out of nowhere, and there was a few times he did that, and it was a game against Liverpool. I think he was just unbelievable, just blocked there. Like Salah got the ball, and Ben Davis was like in his face.
I remember that.
Salah
I do remember that game.
Nightmares about him.
Just every time, like where are you coming from? Like, you know.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. So when people say to you, "Oh, we need another like really world class central defender," I'm like, I don't think we do. No. I'm actually really feeling quite good about that. Because if you look at the other clubs again, and I'm like, I know comparisons to FIFA Joy, but I sort of look around and I think, okay, Arsenal have got a decent looking defence now, but you take Ben White out of it, they haven't got someone stepping in at that level.
No, of course.
Manchester United, I mean, they've got Harry Maguire.
Who cost 80 million?
80 million pounds. Sorry, I just had to get that in.
It's
again.
insane, isn't it? Hey, do you know what? Just very quickly, Sam, before I forget. So, Seb and I, we every season as a tradition, we get the new shirt, and then we try to wear it to every home game that we go to. Now, I appreciate I'm 43. Right, and at 43, I should not be putting football players on the back of my shirt, but I do it really for Seb, because like he'll pick away, go, who are you going to pick this year, Dad? And so we pick it between us, you know. So here we go. I'll give you one guess of both of them. So who do you think Seb's got on the back of his shirt with this year's kit?
Son 7.
No, he went for Kulusevski.
No, that's so expensive. All of those letters.
No, do you know what? Thankfully, it's not £1 a letter anymore. It's a £5 per name. So I'm getting my money's worth with him.
Yeah, in that case, I want Kulusevski.
Yeah, it's quite funny because he's got. I mean, he's 10, so he's not small, but even so, that they've struggled to get his whole name on the back of that shirt.
Yeah, I bet they have. Yeah.
And
All
here we
right,
go.
okay.
My one, there was two. I was torn between two, and I
Okay,
ended up.
give me the two. Give me the two, and let me try and work out which one you went.
So I was torn between Romero, who I just like,
Yeah.
and like you said, this is going to be a season,
Yeah.
and Kane, purely because this could be the year that Kane breaks the all-time goal scoring record and all kinds of things. So it could be the shirt to have.
I think that's where you went. Then I think you went.
I
Kane.
didn't. I went Romero. I just love the guy so much.
You set me up, man. You set me up. Oh, this season he could break the record, and I'm like, oh well, that's the shirt he's done then. No. Oh wow, right. Okay.
I can't. Honestly, I know I spoke about for everyone that listened last season. Yeah. I could not stop talking wax lyrical about this guy. He's just so good. He's on another level.
Even in pre-season, I'm watching him. I'm just like, freaking hell, he's so good.
And what I love about him is like you're watching it, right? Like do the Roma game when. Who was it? It was who was the other centre back? He was crossing it in, and Romero it's like one centre back crossing to another centre back, and then what are you two doing up here?
It's like part of this system is okay. One of us would go. All right, one of us would go. Do you know what? I'm gonna go for it. you come too. It's funny. It was Lenglet, I think. It was Lenglet whipped in a fantastic cross, and Romero was there, and I'm like, okay, this is like total football now. This is bonkers. Okay, so moving on. So thank you, Ryan. Superstar Stefan Cruz Alvarez says, can you give us an update on youth players, loans and sold? We know Parrott and Scarlett, but any other high potential gone out? Unfortunately, we've actually lost a ton of really good young players. I'm not going to rattle through it all because I think that's dull. It's just me listing names. But there is a strange thing in our academy at the moment. And a few people who know this a lot better than me have said that it is a situation where the club are simply not paying the going rate for academy players now. And clubs like, and this is no disrespect to anyone about the list, but Southampton, Brighton, teams that are Premier League teams but aren't part of the top six, are actually paying near double to the academy players in their under-21 squad to what we are. That is causing us a problem from a recruitment point of view. And the other issue is the club doesn't appear to have a laid out pathway for these players. So there are a number of players who have left Tottenham refusing new deals because they're like, I don't see how I'm ever going to break into the first team. Like, I just don't see that my future is here for that. We lost 2 England youth internationals to Southampton in the same week. We lost 4 players from the under-21 squad who were all very highly rated. So yeah, it's a strange thing. But I will just say, which is, I know a lot of people are very interested in this, and it is interesting. This season, via Spurs Play, you are going to be able to watch a lot of the academy games. So you won't have to take my word for it on players anymore. You can actually watch it yourself. The under-21s, they're going to practically, any home game will definitely be on there, with a selection of the away games, obviously depending on the venue and permissions, and a selection of the under-18 games as well. So keep an eye on that. If you've subscribed to Spurs Play, that's going to be a key thing throughout the whole season. As if there's not enough football to watch anyway, you can now add that as well. Fantastic. Which I'll be doing.
I got a discount being a season ticket holder. They're not £10 off, so I got that to watch all the pre-season games.
Good man.
Some kind of perk. Do you know? Just quickly touching on what you were saying about the academy.
Yeah.
See, my thoughts on it is that I understand. Like you say, the pathway to the first team, etc., etc. Yeah. You look at, and again, like you said, no disrespect to the teams that are outside the top 6. But a lot of how they work is they get the players up, don't they? And then they sort of develop them into, and they give people, like a good example. I know he wasn't from the academy, but, you look at Kyle Walker-Peters, how he couldn't get an opportunity at Spurs and then off he goes to Southampton. He's playing week in, week out, right? So, and this is not me disrespecting them teams. It's just you're going to get more of an opportunity to play first team football. And I think...
And
you go on.
Yeah, go on. No, I was just going to say the issue is if they're then paying more as well. What's the attraction of staying at Spurs?
No, yeah, of course, I get that. But what I was going to say was that, and I hate to use this expression because it's used by someone that thankfully won't be our Prime Minister for very much longer. But Conte likes an oven-ready player, doesn't he? You know, and I think that's why. Look, you look at the clubs he's managed. I mean, I know there's been a lot of talk, there's a few stories about him talking about being at Spurs long term and how that would work, how that play out, with the success we have, his relationship with Levy, etc. But he's a bit like a much better version of Harry Redknapp, and Harry Redknapp was like that, where look, just bring me players who've got experience, who are going to come in ready, who I've not got to develop, I can improve on, but are already there, And I think there maybe there's this realization. I appreciate the money's an incentive, but maybe there's the realization that look, I'm going to really struggle here to get into this team, like youth players having academy players have in the past. I don't know. There might be something.
Well, I think the thing as well is if you're at a club and you're fairly young, and they've got a pathway, because the thing about the pathway is an expression, and a lot of people use it, but it doesn't necessarily mean pathway straight to the first team, but it could be like a development pathway. So for example, I'm 18 years old, I'm now physically developed, where the under 18s is like men against boys for me. I'm developed above that. Under 21 football I'm playing, but it's not the same as getting first team minutes. There are other people my age getting that, and they're developing faster than me because of it. So that's where the loan system comes in, and that's so important, and something that Tottenham don't do very well is create loans. And I'm not entirely sure why that is, but it is something that needs to be addressed. So if you walk around, just using our neighbours, very quick example, Arsenal and Chelsea both currently have from their youth teams already loaned out for the duration of next season, between them near 30 players. We've got 2.
It's unusual, isn't it?
It's not. So, like, the vast majority of the top 6 will have 10 from their academy out on loan for a full season. Now, a great example of that system working and really working well is Chelsea a few seasons ago, where they basically had 5 or 6 players out on loan in the Championship. All had great years. They had that transfer ban, and they all had to come in, and they all made an impact in the first team, like Mason Mount, etc. So it is an important part of the pathway. It's an important part for these players to develop, because as a club, if we loan out Troy Parrott, which we have, and Troy smashes 20 goals in the Championship, okay? I'm not saying he will, I'm just saying if he does, then the club then has an interesting decision, because we could then look at him for next season and say, right, Troy, you are now part of this first team squad, push Harry. Your job is to be there every day in training and push him, make your opportunity like Harry did when he first burst onto the scene. Or we can go, he smashed 20 goals in the Championship. I don't think he's going to dislodge Harry in the next few seasons, but now his value is 10 to 15 million quid because of what he just did.
Yeah,
so as a club, it makes sense for us to use this system, because then you've got a sellable asset, or someone, as you put it, oven ready for the first team squad. So why aren't we using it? It doesn't make, and that's the pathway. So like if you're a young player and you look at it and you go, I'm not going out on loan. I've got no chance of cracking the first team unless I go out on loan. I'm just playing under 21 football, which in the greatest respect isn't going to help me develop. I'm going to leave, and that's, we need to clean that up. So there you go.
Yeah, fair point.
Okay, lastly, Ben Thierry says, hi gents, great to have you back. What is Seb's score prediction for Southampton game? Okay, so, in-joke time. Seb is Matt's son, as you have heard him mention throughout this, and some time ago, on his way to the games, he would make predictions, and he kept getting them right. So we dubbed him Mystic Seb. Mystic Seb. And I said for some time we would make a feature on this show where we would get Seb to predict the games, and we would call it Mystic Seb. So I'm delighted to say I've finally done it.
Hey.
Now it's time to listen to the predictions of Mystic Seb.
My predictions for Saturday's Spurs against Southampton is a 2-0 win and Son Kane scoring again.
There you go.
Oh. Do you know? I saw that because I looked at the questions last night, and with it being the school holidays and the children not going to sleep till about 2 o'clock in the morning, it was about 11:30. I said, "Seb, come in here." What, Dad? I went, I need your prediction. So as you can probably tell,
well, no, I thought
he's not at his sharpest.
I think his sleepiness goes in well with the Mystic Seb.
There you go. There you go.
It was like part of the performance.
Yes.
So there you go. That's Seb's prediction. I'm sure you've already touched on this. Which of our new signings is your favourite? Oh, actually, we haven't. Which of your new signings is your favourite?
Perisic.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Do you think we've got the positions covered? Yeah. Personally, felt like a creative midfield position wasn't too much of an issue, with Bentancur showing a good eye for passing. Yeah, I'll go with that. That was it. You've signed your question, and I think you've done this on purpose, Ben. He signed off his question with Nuno. And he knows better than anybody that on this show,
we don't talk about Nuno. No. We don't talk about Nuno.
I need to apologise because apparently that gets stuck in people's heads.
Poor old Nuno. I feel sorry for him.
We don't talk about Nuno.
I will keep doing that, Matthew. But yeah, that's all the comments. Thank you so much for everybody who sent them in. We do always really appreciate it, because it always gives us something fun to sort of have a chat about. But yeah, a couple of other things, and just to sort of cover very quickly. We've had the prediction from Seb for the Southampton game. How are you feeling about it? What's your prediction?
Confident. So last season, when we played Southampton,
yeah, we lost.
Sonny scored, I think, after the 73rd minute to make it 2-1.
Yeah.
We was thinking, when's the third one going to fly in? And then full time we lost.
Yeah, it was bizarre. Yeah. It was.
So, look, mate, you said this right at the beginning of the show. It's the hope, and it's the hope that kills you, right? Okay.
Oh yeah.
But look, we've got it all set up. I mean, look, if we manage to balls this up, I mean, I don't know where to go. You know, we've got one of the top five managers in the. Yeah, we've got one of the top 5 managers in the world, I'd suggest. We've probably got 2 of the best forwards in the top 5 in the world. Yeah. We've got one of the 2 best centre backs in Romero in the Premier League, maybe even Europe.
World Cup winning goalkeeper.
We just, I mean, we've got like the world class training ground. We've got the best stadium in the Premier League. I mean, it's all set up. Like what?
Oh, you're doing it to yourself. You're doing it. Calm down. Take 5 count backwards from 10.
Okay, so look, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. Okay, and this is the first game. We're at home, which is really important.
Yep.
I don't even think it matters who we get, because we've got Man City first lane last season. We beat them, so just chuck whatever team it is at us. First game, as long as it's at home. I feel like we should win. It should be a win. So let's see. I'm confident. I'm confident for the game. I'm confident for the season. Champions League football, back to the stadium. So I just feel confident. I feel an air of positivity. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling it in my bones.
Do you know, if you finish this with 1-0 Southampton, I'm going to laugh a lot.
No,
do
you know? I'll go with Seb's prediction. I think a 2-0.
2-0. All right.
2-0. Yeah.
All right. I'm going 4-0 Spurs because why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Why not? We've talked about our season predictions. One of the things I want to talk about, because football finally came home this summer, thanks to the England Women Lionesses team. There is a massive, obviously, uptick in people's interest in women's football off the back of that, which is wonderful, because they're playing. I mean, I don't know about you. Did you get to watch much of the tournament at all?
So, Sam, I'm going to be completely open and honest with you, because I'm amongst friends here, aren't I?
Yeah.
Now, we've probably had this discussion before, you and I. we are that crossover generation, aren't we?
Yeah.
We've got the tail end of the dinosaur, and we've got the front end of the kind of the modern, forward-thinking,
Yeah. We are constantly caught in a conflict of what we experienced growing up to
Yep.
what our brains think.
and what we want to be exactly,
Yeah.
right? So, and it's difficult because I don't want to pass on the old style of me to Seb,
Yeah.
but to be fair, looks on TikTok occasionally, and there are a few kind of TikToks and things of some awful, examples of women's football.
Yeah.
Just like this is awful examples of men's football, but it's like hands over the eyes,
Yeah, I
kind
know
of,
what you mean, yeah.
So I kind of went into the tournament thinking, oh, I'll watch it, see. And honestly, from the group stages onwards, I'm like, the quality of this is incredible, right? Now, I remember having a conversation with Vicky a week ago, because you know what it was? I was watching a T20 game, and it was England versus South Africa women.
Yeah.
And this is when the dinosaur come out at me. I was like, is there ever gonna show any men's sports here? Am I just gonna it's all about women's sports now? Right? I'm being open with you, mate. It's just me being honest and open. And Vicky's very good.
No,
This is my
you're
wife.
fine.
Anyone who's like, for our new listeners, she's very good at making me see a different perspective in it, right? On it, sorry. Just a bit like you are, Sometimes I'll say something, I'm like, yeah, you're right. And it's investment. It all comes down to investment. And like with cricket, women's cricket, you can clearly see that, it's a decent quality, but the investment's not there.
Correct.
With women's football, especially that tournament, you can see how it's paying off, the investment and everything to go with it. I mean, most of them are the players are full time, aren't they? They can dedicate their.
They are now.
Yeah. And you can see the difference. I mean, I remember, I think I may have mentioned it on a previous podcast. I remember when we opened the new stadium, and me and Seb we managed to go to the women's game to start with, and then we made our way over to the new stadium to watch the under-23s play Southampton for the first ever game at the new stadium. Yeah. And I remember watching the women's game, and after about 20 minutes thinking, I can't. This is actually painful to watch this. It's that bad that I can't watch it. It's giving me the hump watching this football game, So I left after about 25 minutes. Fast forward to not only this tournament, but I took Seb, Layla, my daughter, and her friend to the Tottenham Brighton game at Barnet. They've moved now to Leyton Orient, haven't they, for the forthcoming season, Spurs ladies. Quality, like much better quality. I enjoyed it, and I massively enjoyed this tour. I don't know about you, but I massively enjoyed it.
No, I did. I really did.
I enjoyed it. I was just sitting there like thinking, I'm really enjoying this, Yeah.
And do you know what it reminded me of? And this is going to, again, age and make people cringe probably. But do you remember when we were younger and we watched players like Mickey Hazard and people like that play, and they were playing not because they were earning millions, but because they loved playing football? And that generation of players, I mean, they earned good money for the time or whatever, but not compared to what they earn now. And there is an element now that, like, when you watch like the England international men's team and stuff like that, you are in essence watching millionaires kick a ball around. When we were watching the women's team, they were all there for England. Like, there was none of this sort of club divide, none of this. They were there to win for England. They loved it. And you listen to them in the like post-match interviews and stuff like that. It was just so refreshing. Just so kind of. I dare anybody not to just feel the absolute joy of that team when they won.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I was like, I just want to keep watching this. Like, please, someone just follow them with a camera for the whole celebration, because this is brilliant, and it was great. And what I want to say is, with the interest now peaking, I think a lot of people saw that and thought, wow, this is actually a really good level now compared to maybe what I saw. Maybe if you only ever saw an international tournament like 4 years ago or something, you think, oh, wow, this is lower league stuff. Tottenham women, they are in the WSL. Get involved. The game's typically not the same game as men's, and also the season's going to run very different this year because obviously the World Cup. So look out for the fixtures. Season starts in September. Do
you know what I love?
Check it out.
Do you know what I love though, Sam? Right, and I don't know if you noticed this. Right, this could be this. I think. Look, there's no getting away from the fact that men and women, we're wired differently, aren't we? Right? That's just a fact, right? That's just not. I don't think that's being. It's just a fact, right? You know, I love it when Chloe Kelly scored the winner, right? She knew she was going to whip her top off, but she was like,
"Oh, that was
I need
so
to." But
funny,
but what I love though is she's like, "Was it a goal?" She's checking the linesman, right?
Yeah.
Check the linesman, check the referee. Now I can do it. I love it. It was so funny.
The thing I loved, see, the thing about that just cracked me up the most is this little interview I saw afterwards with one of the players. I wish I could remember which player it was, and they were talking, and she was so excited and stuff like that, and they were talking to her, and she said, and what about that celebration? She said, yeah. She said, wait until she calms down and realises she just whipped her top off in front of 80,000 people and millions on TV, but I ain't bringing that up. And I just laughed me off because I'm thinking, yeah, she probably, when that moment goes, and everything's calm, and she's like, oh, and then all of a sudden she's going to get that, oh, I did what? You know? But it was just so much, like, it was just such a, I gotta be honest with you, in that moment, I don't know what I or any of us would do, and I think that whole just,
I think that's
mental.
that's what I'm saying. I think she knew she was good. Like she said, look, if I score the winner, I'm taking my top off. Yeah, but it wasn't like
I'm gonna lose it. Yeah.
But it was just that kind of, I need to check first. I'm not going to do this, and then they can have all it off VAR.
And then look more on,
Whereas I think with us,
whereas a guy would be like 5 rows up into the stands when they're whistling the.
Do you want to come down there, mate?
It was offside. Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, like I said, it was just pure joy. It was just like so amazing. I can't say enough about it. It was just so much fun to watch. But yeah, that is our show.
Before we go,
wait. There was one thing. Sorry, yes, you said before, and I nearly forgot.
No, it's just something I know. You know, you get these little coincidences or these little kind of lessons that kind of when the planets collide, basically.
Yeah.
You know? So obviously, you know, you're on social media quite a lot, like I say, and most of us are nowadays. 2022, for God's sake, you know. But there's a lot of online bants, isn't there? You know.
Yes.
Right now, pre-season, right? I'd always argue, and I think most people that kind of look at it with a level head will argue that it's nice to win games in pre-season, but it doesn't. It's about the performance, isn't it? It's about getting the players up to square. Like, you know, we talked about the Roma game. I saw some great performances. We lost, didn't we? I mean, the other day we lost the game 1-0. And then you look over at our very, very noisy neighbours who won 6-0. And honestly, the amount of abuse, like, you know, like, oh, we're 6-0, you can't. Right, anyway, rewind back to 2008.
Yeah.
Now, can you remember who we played the last game of that pre-season?
I honestly, was it Roma? No.
Roma. The last game of this pre-season.
Oh, God,
remember the score?
I thought we hammered them.
5-0.
Yeah, 5-0.
We won 5-0. Last pre-season game in 2008, we hammered Roma 5-0. Do you want to know what happened for anyone that maybe was too young to remember what happened in 2008?
Dazzle us.
We got 2 points from our first 8 games.
Was that our last ever trophy winning manager?
Yep, One Day Ramos. Yeah, so he won us the League Cup.
One Day Ramos.
We had a pre-season. We undefeated in our pre-season. We walloped Roma 5-0 at home, and then picked up 2 points from the first 8 Premier League games of the season, which resulted in getting the sack and resulted in Harry Redknapp coming, and the rest is history. But if you ever need a lesson as to don't take pre-season results too seriously, that's your one.
Oh, massively, yeah. No, the funny thing is, the thing I quite liked, again, is Conte in the interviews was just talking about results don't matter. Like, don't look at any result in pre-season. Like, we wallop everyone. Don't read anything into it. Focus on how the players are looking, the little combinations, the things. Because what he's doing, he's not sending them out to win these games. He's sending them out, right, you two, your focus this whole game is to build build an understanding. He's like setting them up in these things, and he wanted the games to be competitive, like Seville, Roma. There was a real edge to those games. Like, there were like nearly punch-ups in both games, and that's because he's saying to him, like, you go out there, you know, you're intense, but you are focusing on these aspects and these things. But in fitness terms, I don't think I've seen a squad look fitter. Even under Pochettino, these guys look ridiculous.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
So yeah.
Roll on Saturday.
roll on Saturday, mate. So we will be back next week. We are here every Thursday throughout the season. It's going to be a weird one this year because obviously we got a break and there's going to be a World Cup in that break. It's going to be such an odd season. Now, we have talked about so many times doing alternative commentary to things, and in pre-season, we finally found a way of doing it, and I tested it with me and superstar Step-In Stefan, and it works. So what I was going to say to you, Matt, is how about during the World Cup we offer an alternative commentary on the England games?
Sam, you know,
for our Spurs news following.
I'm always up for anything like that.
That could be funny.
Yes.
It could be. I don't think I could do it in proper Tottenham games because the commentary would just be me like, oh no, oh geez, oh no. Yeah. So, whereas England games, I can probably be a bit more relaxed because at the end of the day, we all know it ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
So, that's an idea. If you're interested in that, let us know because we did the sort of test during pre-season and it did kind of work. There's a couple of things we realised to do different. But yeah, so it is something we can do now. But yeah, let us know. Drop us a message. You can get in touch with us via any of our social medias. Also, you can email, and that email address is in the podcast description. Until next week then, my friend, you will take care.
Take care, mate.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.